Yeah.
Sir Butcher.
4, please, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have transformed the relationship with Welsh Government, and our two Labour governments are delivering on the priorities of the people of Wales. Together, we've delivered a record-breaking budget settlement for the Welsh Government. NHS waiting lists have fallen 4 months in a row. Tens of thousands of new jobs have been secured through inward investment, and pay rises are helping people across Wales through the record increases to the national and living wage.
Diolch yn fawr. Welsh Labour have been in power in Cardiff Bay for 26 years. In that time, Wales has fallen further and further behind its nearest neighbour in the Union in almost every key devolved area. Welsh household incomes are lower than in England. Welsh employment rates are lower than in England. Welsh life expectancy is lower than in England. Is the Secretary of State proud of her party's record in Wales?
Can I thank the honourable member for her question? Actually, the positive impact our UK and Welsh Labour governments are having is clear in how the Welsh economy is changing. Employment has increased significantly in Wales, unemployment and economic inactivity have fallen, and real total wages have increased right across the UK.
Alex Berry-Scott.
Mr. Speaker, the safety and maintenance of coal tips are a totemic issue in Wales, including in my constituency in Cardiff West. And this clearly, the relationship between Welsh Government and this Labour Government with the funding given to coal tips at the last budget signifies the importance of the union between our two governments. Can the Secretary of State therefore help illustrate to me why Plaid Cymru, when given the opportunity to vote on this in the Senedd in March, voted against coal tip funding?
Can I thank my honourable friend for his question? And he raises an important point. Ensuring coal tips across Wales remain safe is of the utmost importance, and unlike the Conservative government, we committed £25 million funding this year for essential work to keep tips maintained and safe. So quite why Plaid Cymru voted against that additional funding, and the Conservatives in the Senedd, is beyond me. They need to explain it to our former coal mining communities.
Secretary of State Minister Davis.
Does the Minister prefer peanuts, cashew nuts or simply scraps for Wales? The fabled two Labour governments in lockstep is simply a myth for voters. Changing rail classifications and short-changing Welsh communities is a true reality. Is the Minister concerned by today's reported peanuts? Because when did she become aware of just over £400 million, the poultry settlement to come to Wales? How will it be split to Welsh Government? How does she think it compares to our government's £740 million on rail alone? And if so, what specific action did she take to argue for Wales and its fair share and its place in the Union?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Her party was in government for 14 years when Wales got 1% of rail enhancement budget when it has 11% of the whole UK network. Her party are responsible for the historic underfunding of the Welsh Rail, and we'll hear from the Chancellor this afternoon about what this government is going to do about it.
Right, David Chadwick, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The border we share with England is a very porous one, and that's of critical importance to our agricultural community in mid-Wales, particularly livestock farmers whose supply chain reaches from one side to the other. She'll be aware that the farming community is very concerned about the outbreak of blue tongue. The Royal Welsh Show has already had to say no to entrants from England. So will she meet with me and the livestock markets affected in my constituency to help find a solution for them?
Can I thank the honourable member for his question? Obviously, the Royal Welsh Show is a landmark event in the calendar in Wales every year. I'd be very happy to offer him a meeting with the Minister at the Wales office responsible for farming.
Ruth Jones, Chair of the Select Committee.
Question number 5, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
With your permission, Mr Speaker, I will answer questions 5 and 13 together. The UK Labour Government is putting Wales at the forefront of its mission to make the UK a clean energy superpower, creating jobs, lowering energy bills and raising living standards for families across Wales. Only last month, my Right Honourable friend, the Secretary of State, announced a £12.5 million funding to support green advanced manufacturing and the National Net Zero Skills Centre of Excellence in Port Talbot.
Jones.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Wales has a phenomenal tidal range which promises green growth and industrial employment to Wales and beyond. The Severn Estuary Commission has completed its recommendations and tidal lagoons are ready to go. So what steps is the Secretary of State taking with other Cabinet colleagues to ensure tidal will play a prominent role in the transition to clean energy?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. The Government remains open to considering well-developed proposals for harnessing tidal range energy, and the National Energy System Operator, NESO, has launched a research innovation project to model the impacts and value of tidal range. And I'm very pleased to be able to tell my honourable friend that we're expecting the report from this work tomorrow, and we will be considering its findings. More broadly, Mr Speaker, Wales has huge potential for green jobs, and in April the Prime Minister announced a £300 million boost for Great British Energy to invest in offshore wind supply, and Wales is very well placed to benefit from this.
Matt Rodder.
Question 13, Mr Speaker. Wales has an enormous role to play in the rollout of green and clean energy, which will benefit all the residents of both Wales and the UK. Can the Minister explain the steps that she has taken to roll out this important work in Wales?
Thank you. I thank my honourable friend for his question. Wales does have a huge role to play in our clean energy mission and has excellent resources and a skilled workforce. We are supporting innovative renewable technologies like the tidal stream on Anglesey and the floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea, which has the potential to deliver up to 5,000 new jobs.
Anne Davies.
Mr Llefarydd, green energy deserves green transmission. So will the Minister commit to undergrounding any new electric transmission in Wales?
Well, I commend the honourable member for her campaigning on this issue, but as I'm sure that she does understand, the cost of undergrounding is very significant, and so we have said very clearly that our position is that overhead lines should generally be the starting presumption, except for in nationally designated landscapes.
Graham Stewart.
Mr Speaker, people of all ages welcome Wales's role in creating a clean energy superpower in this country. But pensioners in particular, of course, had to go through last winter, freezing cold, tens of thousands more going to A&E. So will the Minister, who we all know is a very decent member of the Labour front bench, do what the Chancellor refused to do? And apologise to those pensioners who lost that funding when they needed it most.
I should just remind the House, Mr Speaker, that we did maintain the triple lock, which gave pensioners a boost of over £400 this spring. And as he well knows, pensioners will again benefit from the winter fuel allowance.
Next, please, Mr Speaker.
Mr Speaker, with your permission, I'll answer questions 6 and 11 together. Since July, we have driven over £1.5 billion private investment into Wales, delivering hundreds and hundreds of jobs. Last month, I was delighted to welcome Knauf's Insulation's new £170 million investment in Shotton. Our Welsh free ports and investment zones will unlock further private investment and deliver tens of thousands of jobs across all 4 corners of Wales. Last month, Lloyds Bank reported a significant increase in Welsh business confidence, and our industrial strategy will provide further confidence to invest in Wales.
Joanna Baxter.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This Labour government is creating good, well-paid jobs across the whole of the UK, including in my constituency of Paisley and Renfrewshire South. Can the Secretary of State explain what she's doing in collaboration with Cabinet colleagues to make sure that these new jobs are genuinely good jobs with well-paid terms and conditions?
My honourable friend is right to highlight the Labour government's record for creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the UK. In Wales, we have 2 Labour governments working together to create new jobs in our green industries, advanced manufacturing and more. And I hope that Scotland also gets to experience the benefit of 2 Labour governments working in partnership when the SNP are resigned to the wilderness at next year's election.
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The multi-billion pound deal to secure a new universal theme park in Bedfordshire is a major example of how this government is backing our crucial culture sector, creating new jobs and boosting living standards for my constituents and the wider region. Can the Secretary of State set out what the UK and Welsh Labour governments are doing to support the culture sector and create new jobs in Wales?
Well, I absolutely agree with my honourable friend. There will be many people in Wales looking forward to visiting the new Universal Studios in her constituency. And in Wales, we are supporting a thriving creative industry sector, which our industrial strategy has rightly identified as providing more potential for huge economic growth in the years ahead. We've confirmed £10 million to upgrade Venue Cymru in Conwy, the largest arts centre in Wales outside Cardiff, and £5 million to fund repair works to the Newport Transporter Bridge, both of which play a crucial role in the tourism economy. Welsh governments are also investing £12 million in the Elan Valley Lakes project through the Mid-Wales Growth Deal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Minister for her answer. Job creation in Wales is vitally important. Therefore, what representation has she made on the part of businesses in Wales and indeed the rest of GB who are now being forced to no longer supply businesses in Northern Ireland because of the outrageous and unnecessary parcel border that exists in the Irish Sea? What is she doing to right the wrongs of the ongoing damage of the protocol and the Windsor Framework to our union and our economy?
She will know that this government's #1 mission is economic growth. We are creating jobs all around the country. We are building the economy. We have fixed the foundations, and we will hear more from the Chancellor this afternoon on what will happen in the years ahead.
Secretary of State Nims Davis.
Turbocharging the Welsh economy. Frankly, the economy at all is vital for social mobility and prosperity. We delivered 2 Welsh investment zones, 2 free ports and over £1 billion in extra funding, and helped over 2 million women into the job market across the UK. Yet the UK and Welsh Labour governments are undoing this work. Their job tax, their tourism tax, the 20-mile-per-hour default speed limit, acting as a hammer blow to business confidence, particularly in the hospitality sector. Mr. Speaker, now disgracefully, unemployment rate for young women in Wales up by 4.6%. Will the Minister join with me in calling for these damaging policies to be dropped so our young women can get into the workforce and progress?
Mr. Speaker, I'll say again that the positive impact our UK and Welsh Labour governments are having is clear in how the Welsh economy is changing. Employment has increased significantly in Wales. Unemployment and economic inactivity have both fallen, and real total wages have increased across the UK.
Number 7 from bench. Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday we announced the biggest nuclear building programme in a generation. We are investing £14.2 billion to build Sizewell C, and we confirmed Rolls-Royce SMR as the preferred bidder to build the country's first small modular reactors. I met with the chair of Great British Nuclear last week to discuss how we maximise the opportunities for Wales from new nuclear projects, and I'll continue to work with the Energy Secretary and Welsh Government to ensure that Wales's supply chain and workforce benefit from this investment.
Jack Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wales has incredible potential for next generation of nuclear, but Labour's announcement yesterday is a fraction of what is needed. Green baseload power, which stabilises our grid, enhances power generation as it has done before in Anglesey. Will the Minister give a clearer answer today to confirm that Wales will be a key part of new nuclear, building on Conservative work supporting Welsh nuclear, or will this be another failure to deliver for these communities under Labour?
Almost all of the UK's nuclear power stations are currently due to come offline in the 2030s. It's this government that's changing that, setting out our plan to end the years of Tory failure on nuclear, failure to invest, failure to deliver. We will deliver the biggest nuclear building programme in a generation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 14 years, the party opposite delivered no new nuclear anywhere in the country, including in Wales. So would the Secretary of State agree with me that this Labour government is committed to delivering energy security, good jobs and lower bills for families across Wales?
Can I thank my honourable friend for her question? She will know that the Sizewell C Consortium, for example, a group of over 200 nuclear supply chain companies, has a memorandum of understanding with the Welsh Government which will result in an investment of up to £900 million in the Welsh nuclear supply chain. Great British Energy Nuclear acquired the Wilver site last year. Wilver previously hosted a nuclear power plant and is the best potential site in the UK for new nuclear deployment.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, can I welcome in the gallery the President and the delegation of the French National Assembly, and also the knighthood to Sir Billy Boston. Anne Davies, Prime Minister's questions.
Question 1, please.
Mr. Speaker, can I first wish you a happy birthday for yesterday and say that we're all delighted that Sir Billy Boston, a great British sporting icon, has received his richly deserved knighthood. Long overdue, if I may say, for him, but also for rugby league. Mr. Speaker, it's Carers Week, and I know the whole House will join me in celebrating the selfless dedication of our unpaid and young carers. This weekend also marks the 8th anniversary of the Grenfell Tower fire. We will honour the 72 men, women and children who lost their lives by delivering meaningful and lasting change, a country with safe and secure homes for everyone, and where justice is done for the Grenfell community. Mr. Speaker, acting alongside our allies, we've sanctioned individuals responsible for inciting appalling settler violence and expansion. We've done that to uphold human rights and defend the prospect of a two-state solution. We will continue to support all efforts to secure a ceasefire, the release of all hostages despicably held by Hamas, and the humanitarian aid that needs to surge in. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Davies.
Diolch, Mr Llefarydd. My constituent, Mr Michael O'Leary, was brutally murdered 5 years ago and his body was desecrated. Working alongside the honourable members for York Outer and Montgomeryshire and Glyndŵr, I've made a number of requests to discuss his and other victims' cases with ministers and to explore introducing legislation making the desecration of a body a criminal offence. Would the Prime Minister meet with Mr O'Leary's family, along with other victims' families, including April Jones of Machynlleth and Sarah Everard and Helen McCourt, to hear why they are calling for a new criminal offence of desecrating a body to be introduced?
Well, can I thank her for raising this horrific case and the other similar cases, and my thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with Michael's family and all those affected by such vile crimes. I think we all need to listen to what they have to say. I know she's been working with the honourable friend for York Outer on this issue, and I pay tribute to her and all of those that are working so hard on this issue, and I'm sure the Justice Minister will be in touch at the first opportunity to take this forward, and I thank her again for raising a really important issue.
Simon Offer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister, in Gloucestershire, after 14 years, waiting lists for both physical and mental health are finally falling. So last week I hosted a round table with young people and heard how music and arts programmes like the fantastic Gloucestershire Music Works are transforming mental health outcomes. I also chaired a panel on comedy on prescription in South by Southwest with Lou Jackson and Jonathan Pye, utilising laughter to improve well-being and reduce waiting lists. So can I ask the Prime Minister to back our campaign in creative health and urge him to go further in reducing waiting lists for all patients? Thank you.
can I commend? He's got great expertise. He's worked for many years in the NHS as a GP, and I support the work that he's doing. Our plan for change has cut waiting lists, as he points out, by almost 5,000 in his local trust, and we're going further, including through state-of-the-art radiotherapy machines rolled out across the country, Mr. Speaker. There's one going into his constituency, more scanners going to 27 other hospital trusts, including 2 hospitals in the constituency of the Leader of the Opposition. All made possible by the decisions that we've made, and I know she'll want to stand up and welcome that.
Leader of the Opposition,
Mr. Speaker, perhaps the Prime Minister knows something I don't know. There's only one hospital in my constituency. But Mr. Speaker, since... Mr. Speaker, since Labour took office, Mr. Speaker, inflation has nearly doubled, growth has halved, and unemployment has surged. Is this what the Prime Minister meant when he tweeted that the economy is improving?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since the general election, 500,000 more people are in work. And I know she doesn't mention that. She's fixated on talking Britain down. We're investing in the future. Mr. Speaker, even in the last 2 weeks, the Strategic Defence Review, 30,000 new jobs building submarines. Yesterday, the Sizewell announcement, 10,000 new jobs. Tens of thousands of construction jobs building the social and affordable housing that was announced this morning. That's the difference that Labour makes in government.
Mr. Speaker, he must be talking about a different economy. All of us in this House heard about unemployment increasing. Unemployment has increased every month since Labour took office. Last year, he said he was taking the winter fuel payment away to balance the books. But the books are not balanced. In fact, they are worse. This year, the deficit is forecast to be £10 billion higher since the budget. Not since last year's election, since the budget. In what way are the books now balanced?
Mr. Speaker, she's obviously missed the interest rate cuts, the growth figures for earlier this year, the huge, the Strategic Defence Review, local transport, £15 billion going in, free school meals, Sizewell, social housing. Mr. Speaker, but she stands there to lecture us, and I say Liz Truss is obviously back in vogue, advising reform officially now, haunting the Tories, and I remind her that the Shadow Home Secretary, I think he was then Chief Secretary to the Treasury, he gave the Liz Truss budget, Mr. Speaker, 9.5 out of 10. The Leader of the Opposition said what was wrong with Liz Truss's budget was not necessarily the package, that was all right, it was the way it was sold. They've learned absolutely nothing.
Mr. Speaker, he loves talking about Liz Truss because he loves talking about Liz Truss. Why? Why? Because he wants to hide from his own economic record. He's a coward. He's a coward. Every time he stands up there and talks about Liz Truss, it's because he is scared about talking about his record and what is happening to the economy out there. Let's bring it back to the U-turn which he's running away from. A U-turn on a policy that his MPs went out defending time and time again. Let's go through what's happening here. 1 minute, they said it was right to take the winter fuel payment away, that there might be a run on the pound. The next minute, they said it was right to give it back. This is laughable. He stands there all puffed up and self-righteous. Why can't the Prime Minister just admit that he made a mistake?
Mr. Speaker, they left a £22 billion black hole that we had to fill, and that's why we took the right decisions. We've stabilised the economy. That's why we've seen 4 interest rate cuts. The triple lock is committed to on this side. They say it's unsustainable on that side. That's £470 for most pensioners and good Q1 growth. 3 weeks ago, I said that I wanted more pensioners to be eligible for winter fuel. I'm really pleased we set out the threshold and the certainty that is needed. And she says I don't want to talk about my record. What about free trade deals, record investment, free school meals, breakfast clubs, social and affordable housing, defence review, Sizewell? We could go on all morning, Mr. Speaker, but we've got the Chancellor who's going to say even more in a minute. Mr. Speaker, I think she at the weekend said that she would be getting better in the role. She could start with apologising for the Liz Truss budget. That would be better.
Mr. Speaker, I get better every week. He gets worse. Yes, he gets worse. Last week, Mr. Speaker.
If you think that is a good look, it is a very bad look. And think twice before you try to shout somebody down in that way.
Mr. Speaker, last week he had to get his lines from the Russian embassy. I think we all know that he is getting worse, and what he does not want to talk about is how he is going to make the economy better. That is what the people out there want to hear, and he's got no answers. His trade deals have unravelled. The Strategic Defence Review, everyone out there is asking where is the money coming from, and the fact is he doesn't know how to balance the books. The Chancellor says the winter fuel payment U-turn won't be funded through higher borrowing. So will the Prime Minister admit that it will be funded by putting everybody's taxes up?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think she let slip on the Matt Ford programme the other day that she rehearses her fury for PMQ. So a very good rehearsal this morning, I think. Mr. Speaker, she asked what we're doing. At the budget, we put record investment in our NHS and our public service. Record investment. And she comes every week to carp on about national insurance, but she doesn't stand there with the courage of her convictions and say she'll actually reverse it. And the reason she won't, because she won't stand up and say she's against the investment in the NHS. She won't stand up and say she's against the investment in our public services. And we'll all listen very carefully in just 20 minutes when the Chancellor lays out more record investment as to whether they welcome it or whether they say they wouldn't support it.
Mr. Speaker, every week I come here to tell him the truth. The truth that the economy is in a spiral because Labour, that's all of them, Labour put up taxes that cut growth. And we all heard the Prime Minister, he didn't rule out tax rises, so they are going to have to put up taxes even more. This is a spiral. And if that wasn't bad enough, Mr. Speaker, if that wasn't bad enough, this morning we heard that because of his terrible Chagos deal, Mauritius is scrapping income tax. Why on earth should the British taxpayer pay for £30 billion for tax cuts in Mauritius?
Mr. Speaker, Diego Garcia is a vital intelligence and strategic capability. And it's absolutely clear that legal uncertainty would compromise it in very short order. That is why they started the negotiations in relation to it. And no responsible Prime Minister would let that happen. We've secured the base for the long time. That has been welcomed by our allies, by the US, by NATO, by Australia, New Zealand, India. It's been opposed by our adversaries, Russia, China and Iran. And in the second column, we add reform, following Putin, and the Tories following reform.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knows this has nothing to do with national security, but his bad negotiating. I've had the security briefings. It was a bad deal before, and it's still a bad deal. And then in half an hour, the Chancellor is going to stand up and tell us that everything is fine. But the truth is, she has made bad choices. Bad choices that mean higher inflation, bad choices that have led to lower growth, bad choices that have meant that jobs have been lost every single month since Labour came into office. That's hundreds of thousands of families who've lost their income in Stoke, in Grangemouth, in Luton. Those are their constituencies, businesses across the country. The Chancellor has lost all her headroom. She's fallen out with the Cabinet. She's making unfunded spending commitments, which she promised not to do. Isn't the truth that we have got the wrong Chancellor and the wrong priorities?
The wrong choice they made was making her Leader of the Opposition.
Richard Bergen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and belated birthday greetings to you. Mr. Speaker, it's wrong for any Labour government. No Labour government should ever try to balance the books on the backs of disabled people. Yet in just a few weeks' time, that is what the Prime Minister will ask this House to do. Many of us will not be able to go along with that, because it will mean that people who need assistance to cut up their food, to wash themselves, to dress themselves and to go to the toilet will lose the PIP they currently get. That's vital support. This week, the Prime Minister changed direction on winter fuel payment. Will he do the same in relation to this and now drop these disability benefit cuts?
Mr. Speaker, it's very important we make the changes to our welfare system. It's not working. It needs reform. I think everybody agrees with that. It doesn't work for anyone. We will do so on a principled basis that those who can work should work. Those that want to work should be supported to do so, and that we must protect those with the most severe disabilities who will never be able to work. And we're doing that by ending reassessments and paying a new premium.
The Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join others in wishing you belated happy returns for yesterday? And can I welcome the government's sanctions of ministers in the Netanyahu government, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich? The violence they've incited, the settler violence they've incited against innocent Palestinians on the West Bank is intolerable, and the government were right to act. And as it's Carers Week, Mr. Speaker, can I pay tribute to the millions of unpaid family carers across the country and recognise the challenges that they face? Mr. Speaker, the last Conservative government left our health service on its knees. We've heard reports that the NHS will get extra funding in the spending review. If it does, we will support that. But does the Prime Minister agree that no amount of money for the NHS will solve its crisis unless we also invest to fix care? So without preempting the Chancellor's statement, will the Prime Minister reassure me that both social care and family carers will get the priority they deserve in the spending review?
Can I agree with him that the health crisis created by the previous government cannot be solved? They groan. That is exactly how the country feels about the last 14 years and the mess they made of everything. Yes, we do need to fix social care alongside the money that we're putting into the NHS. We're putting record amounts into the NHS. That's the right thing to do, and we're seeing the results. We promised 2 million extra appointments in the first year, of the Labour government. We've delivered 3 million, so there will be that extra funding. I would gently say to him, whilst he welcomes all the extra funding, he can't also at the same time simply say he's against any way of raising the money for the funding. There's an incompatibility there.
Sir Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knows you've got a fairer and better way of funding NHS investment, and I regret the fact that he didn't answer my question on care. But, Mr. Speaker, moving on, the Prime Minister is right to increase defence spending, and later we'll hear the difficult choices the Chancellor has had to make, partly to fund that defence expenditure. But there are £25 billion of frozen Russian assets in the UK right now. Billions that could be used to stop Putin's war machine and to boost Britain's defence industry even faster. So at the G7 this weekend, will the Prime Minister try to seek an agreement to seize those frozen Russian state assets and use them to support Ukraine?
Well, as he knows, that is an issue that's being considered, but it is complicated, and there are a lot of countervailing factors that need to be carefully balanced in a decision that can be made. We are talking to allies about it, but I don't want to pretend to the House that there's an easy answer on this, because there isn't.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. More jobs, cheaper bills. That was our promise on net zero. If we can't meet those goals, then we must consider our approach. In Pembrokeshire, we have a proud industrial history rooted in oil and gas, and an incredibly exciting opportunity in floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea. So can the Prime Minister assure me that he is committed to a just transition that protects and creates jobs?
I thank him for raising this. I believe this government must seize the opportunities of net zero for working people, creating good skilled jobs, taking off the roller coaster of volatile fossil fuel markets. Under past governments, Mr. Speaker, hard-working communities had their pride and their jobs ripped away, and we will never do that in relation to a transition. We've already seen £40 billion of investment in energy and renewables, and the CBI shows that 38,000 jobs in Wales are linked to clean energy. I want to see more of that. Both of them are against it.
Saoirse Eastwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I just want to pay tribute to the Police Service of Northern Ireland briefly for tackling public order in Northern Ireland over the last 2 nights with over 30 police officers injured. I'm sure the whole House would want to join with me in that and also condemning the racist violence. Mr. Speaker, whether it's the cardiac scandal at the RVH in Belfast, the cervical smear scandal in the Southern Trust, the COVID-bereaved families, or the crash of Chinook Zulu Delta 576, all of which has impacted my constituents in Lagan Valley. The common thread here is that families simply wanted the truth, but they were let down by institutions at every cut and turn. Will this government urgently introduce a duty of candour bill and ensure that it reflects what the Hillsborough Law Now campaigners and families have fought so very hard for?
Can I start with the important point she makes about Ballymena? And I utterly condemn the violence that we've seen overnight in Ballymena and in other parts of Northern Ireland, including against PSNI officers. It is absolutely vital that the PSNI are given the time they need to investigate the incidents concerned, rather than face mindless attacks as they seek to bring peace and order to keep people safe. And the Northern Ireland Secretary is in touch with the PSNI and the Executive, and I'm being kept updated in relation to that. In relation to the tragic cases that she raises, firstly, I thank her for raising them, and it is important that we have a legal duty of candour. We will be introducing that because, as she says, there must be the truth here based on all people being dealt with on the basis of dignity, fairness and accountability. Thank you.
Yasmin Qureshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the words of the former Israeli Prime Minister, what we are witnessing in Gaza is indiscriminate, limitless, cruel and criminal killing of civilians. More than 50,000 people have been killed, children have been shot while queuing for bread. A growing number of genocide scholars, including leading Israeli academics, believe that a genocide is taking place. Under international law, we have a duty to prevent genocide. I served on the UN mission in Kosovo. We acted to stop mass killing there. What is the difference now? Will the Prime Minister please intervene immediately to alleviate human suffering and take steps to recognise the state of Palestine?
Mr. Speaker, she'll have seen the statement we made yesterday and the actions that we're taking with allies. The humanitarian situation is dreadful and distressing, and scenes that we've witnessed outside aid distribution centres are frankly heartbreaking. More aid is needed at volume and speed into Gaza, and Israel's plan for aid delivery is inadequate and insufficient. What is needed is for the UN and other agencies to deliver that aid according to well-established mechanisms, and Israel must allow this. Mr. Speaker, we are working with allies to do all that we can to make this happen, as well, of course, to get the hostages out who have been held for a very long time and a desperately needed return to a ceasefire.
Alex Easton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister, there are significant concerns regarding the potential job losses at Spirit Aerosystems stemming from the deal with Airbus. Would the Prime Minister agree with me and intervene to bring all the main players, including the unions, the Business Secretary and the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, around the table to ensure these jobs are protected, especially considering the scale of the issues akin to the challenges faced by British Steel? And also, there is an issue for Northern Ireland businesses with the outworkings of the Northern Ireland Protocol and the Windsor Framework. Can the Prime Minister give me reassurances that he's working to resolve all those issues?
Well, I'm grateful to him for raising this important case of Spirit Aerosystems in Northern Ireland. I know how important it is for the workforce. I've visited them myself on more than one occasion. Airbus's decision to expand UK operations is good news, for the sector and testament to world-class manufacturing expertise, and I want to see those high-skilled jobs protected. The Northern Ireland Secretary has met Airbus, the trade unions and Assembly representatives to discuss the best outcome. The Minister of Industry is continuing engagement with stakeholders, and we will do everything we can in relation to this situation. I'm grateful to him for raising it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister join me in condemning decisions taken by the Transport Minister of the previous government, who turned their back on promises to deliver a new train station at Bean Park, which derailed growth in my constituency of Dagenham and Rainham? And will he also agree that the Grampian condition on the Bean Park development must be honoured and that infrastructure must accompany all developments of scale as we get on with the job of delivering millions of new homes?
Well, I know she's been fighting hard for this project for years, and she's right, the previous government failed to deliver. You could say that about anything they touch, Mr. Speaker. But the Rail Minister is working with the Mayor and Housing Minister to get an appropriate solution to unlock housing in the area. Mr. Speaker, we'll also bring C2C back into public ownership, improving reliability and performance and ensuring every penny is focused on better service. I imagine when I said disaster is referring to the last government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've spoken with parents with children with special educational needs and disabilities, but aren't getting the support they need in school. However, if as a result their child is out of school, they're left facing prosecution, fines or even prison time. Punishing parents for the failings of a broken system is outrageous. So will the Prime Minister end this by backing Lord's Amendment 349A to the Children's Wellbeing and School Bill, and will he meet with me to discuss this further?
Can I thank her for raising this? The epidemic of absence in our schools is something that really does worry me and concern me. Thanks to the efforts of schools and parents across the country, we've seen over 3 million more days in school this year compared to last, which is really important. But we do know that pupils with special educational needs face more complex barriers in relation to school attendance. Look, we will, of course, look at all amendments in the usual way, but in this instance, I do think we struck the right balance.
Chris Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I start by congratulating Sir Billy Boston. Billy ended his career playing at Blackpool, and I know this has been a long campaign by the Culture Secretary, the Speaker, the Honourable Member for Makerfield, and many in this House, so congratulations to Sir Billy. 12,000 people, it's been exposed by shelter, are waiting for council housing in Blackpool. This is a damning indictment on the legacy of previous 14 years of the government. Hundreds of families in my constituency are waiting for housing, stuck in bed and breakfast, or like my constituent Casey, who's sofa surfing with her 2 children in tow. So will the Prime Minister, alongside the Deputy Prime Minister, commit to a new generation of social housing and council housing in my constituency and help me build a better Blackpool?
Well, can I join him on his comments about Billy Boston? I think the whole House will, Mr. Speaker. We are turning the tide on the housing crisis with the biggest investment in social and affordable housing in a generation, Mr. Speaker. The Chancellor investing £39 billion over the next 10 years, almost double what we saw under the last government. And no wonder the National Housing Federation welcomed this as transformative, saying it offers real hope to the thousands who need safe, secure and affordable homes.
It is National Diabetes Week, and as someone living with type 1, as we both are, Mr. Speaker, we are more than aware of the serious complications of diabetic ketoacidosis, KDA, which if not caught early enough could prove fatal. Now, 1/4 of children are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes